this lovely Wednesday morning, the 17th of December 2025. And it's a cold morning and perfect for conversations around, that's all, conversations, the borders on Nigeria and because security, the Christmas season, from football to, even policies of government and a little bit of politics as well too. So this morning on the headline news analysis, we discuss the AFCON 2026.
Yep.
And then Egypt, playing a friendly against Nigeria. And, they say that from the friendlies, you can actually tell what the main action will be at the main stage. Nigeria lost to Egypt 2-1. We'll take a look at that story and other interesting stories this morning. And then the Nigerian Football Federation writing a petition to FIFA, and which again might rekindle the hopes also of Super Eagles going to the World Cup. Is that what we should be doing as Super Eagles of Africa? Alrighty. We'll discuss all of these stories on the headline news analysis this morning. My name is Adeyemi.
I'm Danielle. Shitta-Bey. Thank you so much for joining us on the headline news analysis this morning. Good morning, Nicholas.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
Well, fine, thank you.
All right, then.
Considering the cold morning.
Yeah. But aren't you happy that the weather is changing now?
Well, I am. But, of course, my bones might not be.
All right. The views to be expressed is not in any way the position of Flow FM 92.7 or the staff therein, but as expressed by our in-house analyst, Nicholas Uwerunonye, and all of the individuals who will call on the show this morning as well. We're streaming live on YouTube and on Facebook at Flow FM 927, so you can get on any of the apps and get on live action happening in the studio right now. Let's take it up from the world of sports.
Yes, please.
Right, where Egypt secured a 2-1 win over Nigeria in a pre-Africa Cup of Nations friendly played in Cairo on Tuesday night. Apparently, the hosts took the lead in the 28th minute when Mahmoud Sabar tapped in the first far post after a well-walked move down the right involving Zizo, who consistently troubled the Super Eagles' defense as Egypt comfortably managed the closing stages to seal the win, rounding off an encouraging final warm-up ahead of AFCON 2025 as they will open their AFCON campaign against Zimbabwe as well on Monday, December 22nd, while Nigeria is set to face Tanzania a day later.
Well, the match says it all, and for those who were able to, see the match yesterday, for me, this is my impression. I think you see a more subdued Super Eagles yesterday, and that might not be, that should be expected considering the World Cup, the dashing of a World Cup hope. And to a very large extent, I think they are not at full strength. The last time I monitored their training program, I think about 21 of them were in camp, and I am not too sure. One or two other key players have made it, to, the camp. But we equally have to understand that Egypt is a very strong side, and considering the last time we played AFCON, I think we defeated them 1-0 at the AFCON in that should be in Cameroon, so it's a very good match. At least they can see, where the lapses are, ahead of their opening match in Tanzania. So we sincerely hope they give Nigeria something to hope for, as the day runs by. But really, the truth is that, that outstar from World Cup has done a lot of, dampening of morale in Nigeria. Yesterday, I was expecting people to, I expected so much talk about, the anticipated match, but ironically, very few people even remember the Super Eagles was going to play a match yesterday.
Anyways, we can only wish them the very best of luck, and at least this is another opportunity for them to actually, give Nigerians, reason to smile this period, at least to consolidate. Not for missing out on the World Cup. I mean, the legend Garba Lawal, as ex-Super Eagles, star, was in our studios over the weekend, and then he said. The discipline, you see amongst the players now is different during his time of play.
Exactly. They've been saying it.
And that NFF should not be blamed.
Okay. Well, that is where I have a problem. I think NFF should be blamed for everything that is happening. Yes, a few days ago I engaged Honorable Idris Musa Thuraya, the Kwara State FA, and he gave me some details, and in as much as I buy the argument about, not paying their money on time, there is still one aspect that I still think NFF goofed, and that is in the area of hiring a world-class coach as early as possible, for Super Eagles. The dilly-dallying, the changing, that happened within that, that period, for as far as I'm concerned, was what discombobulated, the team. And of course, you have the issue of discipline. It's only when you have a disciplined body and a disciplined coach that you can have disciplined players. These players play in their respective clubs, and there are no cases of indiscipline, around them. So if they find themselves in Nigerian camp and they appear to be indisciplined, then I think it's the system that is the problem.
All right. Well, the game against Tanzania will be on Tuesday. We wish them all the very best. Well, let's not judge the Super Eagles with this friendly against Egypt. Like we call it, was a friendly match. Let's see if they will pick up and come together as a team and then probably bring home the trophy at the end of the whole, competition, at least to compensate Nigerians this period. Also, we're hearing that the NFF has petitioned FIFA over, filling of ineligible players by the Benin Republic.
The Congolese, about 5 or 6
so
players.
So if FIFA looks into the case, what comes to Nigeria?
Well, we need to first and foremost understand what the issues are. From what I was able to read, gather, I learned that some of them had, double registrations. There were discrepancies in their age. Then of course, some of them who switched allegiance, were over 21 years old, and that they had a double nationality, which is against the Congolese law. Those are some of the issues that are. For me, I'm not too. Let me not be hasty in making a call here. I think according to FIFA rule, before the age of 21. That is when you are eligible to switch allegiance, and if indeed it is proven that some of them are over that age before switching allegiance, then there might be an issue. But it must also be said that I'm a bit becoming so weary of this idea of going through the back door, we went through the back door to get into the playoff. We are trying to get through the back door to get into the World Cup again, and the players themselves, what they put on the pitch is not inspiring. See, I would have preferred a situation. I would have speaking more confidently, in support of, whatever FIFA decide to do at the end of the day. If this scenario, this matter was brought up by a different country entirely. I learned Cameroon took an interest in it. Now, if it were the case of I would have been more enthusiastic in discussing this matter. But NFF does not even recommend it. That is NFF, Super Eagles, Nigeria, they do not even recommend themselves for any waiver whatsoever. But of course, the law is the law. Whoever benefits, that is it. The law is blind. If it takes out Congo, of course, the beneficiary will be Super Eagles. Because we played them, they knocked us out. So, we will be the beneficiaries. It's as simple as that. Is that automatic? But going there, I think it's like, getting what you don't deserve. That is the truth. That is simple truth. Getting what you don't deserve, getting into the World Cup through the back door. It doesn't give you that kind of vibe, that kind of enthusiasm that, should normally come from a normal win, All
right. Well, 0807-777-9927 is number for you to call to make a comment on conversations that we're having, especially in sports right now. Let's move to another news story real quick. The Nigeria Police Force has deployed special forces and tactical units nationwide ahead of today's Nigeria Labour Congress protest over worsening insecurity and labour-related grievances. The State Police Command said officers, equipment and surveillance assets have been positioned to prevent violence and stop hoodlums or political elements from hijacking the demonstrations, while ensuring citizens' constitutional right to a peaceful assembly.
No, I think
what's going to come out of this?
First and foremost, let me commend the Nigerian police for
doing this
to the tone of that language, the tone of they are not actually saying they can't protest. What they are trying to do is to ensure that hoodlums do not take advantage of the situation, which is fantastic. You understand? And this is what we have been saying, that look, you have to allow citizens to protest. There is no law against protesting, but of course you have to do your duty of maintaining law and order. Now, for me, I'm seeing a lot of, I've been seeing a lot of things. I've seen a lot of, reports, updates on that matter, which is to the effect that NSA is still consulting with the presidency. So we don't know exactly what will happen. But be that as it may, I think the call is proper, and especially at this time, especially given the economic situation in the country. Now, look at this is the Yuletide period. Look at the festivity. This is the festive period. You hardly see people, and of course, you hardly see people going about up and down. By now, you should see, the city will be clogged, moving that is vehicles coming into a lorry from Lagos, Abuja, and restaurant to do one celebration or the other, to have a holiday or that, one holiday or the other, but that is not happening. Why? Not necessarily because of the economic crunch alone, but having to travel, it's becoming a very serious problem. Now, the only option, the only recourse you have to traveling safely these days is the airplane, and we are going through you're through the aviation sector. How much do you have to pay? We are talking of something close to 250 or 260,000, or even 300 in some instances, to Lagos to Ilorin here. Via overland and some of these, airlines. So how many households can afford that? And if people are traveling for Yuletide for holidays, they usually go as a family. So if you have a family of say about 5, you can imagine how much that is. So that is, for me, that is something that I think NLC felt that they need to get government's attention on, and of course I know a lot of people will queue behind that you have to bring that to government's attention to do something about it.
How many well, the question is, what is the significance of the NLC's protest that is going to take place across the country today, because that's what the NLC is saying, that they insist that the protest will still take place across the country, and while they're still consulting with the president. What are they consulting with the president for? What do you want to ask?
Well, it's part of those labor tactics. You have varied ways of resolving industrial disharmony. One of them is negotiation, which is what they are.
So if you're negotiating with the president, and what's the need for the protest?
No. You can do both for the person. They said they are going to protest. They haven't said they are going to go on indefinite strike. So it's just a way of telling you that this situation is dire. So while they are talking to you, of course, you'll be looking at the screens and you'll be seeing protests outside. So it puts federal government under pressure to do what they want.
All right, you were talking about, okay.
Please go ahead.
You're talking about this Yuletide season. So what's the best possible scenario that could play out with the negotiations and the protests? What could come out of it?
You see, maybe let us, for one, let us commend the federal government on one thing. This is the third December period, Yuletide period that the current, administration has managed. And up of this moment, we haven't had the issue of a fuel crisis. The federal government has ensured that there is no fuel crisis, there is no shortage of fuel, in the last 3 years. That is quite commendable. We've never had it this, smooth for 3 years unbroken, during the Yuletide period. What government could equally do too is the area of transport, ameliorating it, and I do know that at some point, when things were so hard, there were palliatives, that was shelled out by federal government, to different individuals, up to especially vulnerable families. I think they could equally do that too. Of course, the conditional transfers too. I learned a lot of people are beginning to get, those transfers. That could be done. But the cities are stopgap measures. It does not. It's not an alternative to long-term economic policies that ensures, proper. That ensures that the populace, get to live very well. You understand? Live, have a semblance of, good living. You understand? So, and this has to do with, being productivity of the economy. People must be gainfully employed. They must have a job that gainfully employs them. They earn minimum wages. You understand? And this is not restricted to just government workers. We are talking of people across board. Because if you look at the informal sector, it's perhaps the largest. What constitutes the civil service is just probably 10% of Nigerians. If not, I'm not sure it's even up to 10% of Nigerians. You have people in the private sector, maybe about 30%. The rest are in the informal sector.
Let's take a call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. What is your name and where are you calling from, please?
My name is Shitta. I'm calling from Zango.
Shitta from Zango. Please go ahead with your comment.
On Super Eagle, I think NFF should be blamed for everything that happens to Super Eagle. Coach issue, if you need to judge, this, that, before we get to the last match. And if you could remember, in fact, the players protested because of the bonus. In fact, they put on social media, the hotel, they lost them, a lot of issues. So, and if Nigeria, Super Eagles have to get it right, we must have a serious effort. Because it's not a fluke. It's all about plan. It's all about readiness. It's all about right mentality, psychology. Because football is beyond that. We have good players. So I blame NFF for everything that happens to Super Eagles. And it's an issue. The issue against Congo. Nigeria may end up going to World Cup. But I'm not happy about it. It's a shame. So that is my take on that. Then for the protest, we're kudos to MSC and federal government at the same time, because we must not lie to ourselves. There is hardship. We must not lie to ourselves. Fine, the economy is a bit stable, but there is hardship. Look at the people income against whatever that is happening around here. And apart from presidency, the governor, the legislators, they are not helping. I listened to an interview of Senator Natasha. In fact, another woman, Adedayo, said it on social media. I don't even know that they are giving our senator up to that again for constituency allowance. So, where is the impact? Look at the mega project done by Senator Natasha. He did it. He went to where he go to school. He also did it there. And if they are doing things like this, it will reduce the poverty in society. Thank you. That is my take this morning.
Thank you, Shitu, for your comment.
Mr. Shitu has made a very vital point. You see, again, like this issue of a constituency and what they pay the National Assembly, you need to see how big it is. Now, I don't have any problem with the amount of money you give them, because essentially, to a senator, if a senator properly utilizes the funds that comes to his office, I can assure you that close to 120,000 people will be taken out of poverty. At least in his constituency. At least, at the very least. You know, because you have to have constituency offices and things like that. You're going to employ people. You are going to have legislative aids. Then you are going to stimulate, debates, talks, and, activities around legislation making, monitoring, and things like that. And all these things, government subsidizes them for it. And you use people to do that. So if you engage people meaningfully, you understand, then you take a lot of people out of poverty. And we are talking of multiple multiplier effects here. So just like you mentioned the case of Natasha, like you saw.
Senator Natasha,
yeah.
Okay. All right.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. What is your name and where are you calling from, please?
This is Michael from Ilorin.
All right, Michael, please go ahead with your comment.
Okay, so on the first issue, Super Eagle, well, I'm not surprised because, like the analyst said, we cannot continue to look for how to go to World Cup through the back door. NFF, they are only interested in the back door, Nigeria to qualify so that they can get the dollars that will be accrued to all qualifying nations. That's all they are interested in. They are not interested in entertaining the team fan or Nigerian getting to any level. So, personally, I'm patriotic Nigeria, but for Super Eagle, for now, until there's a serious rejig, I've lost hope on them. Now, let's go to NLC. NLC, well, is a step in the right direction to call the attention of the government to certain issues that are very germane. And I'm in full support of it. And it's so unfortunate that in Nigeria, Nigerians don't even support this kind of cause. It's only when it comes to politics, you see everybody wearing cap and dancing around. It's so unfortunate. How can we in a country, look at what is happening to the allegation between Dangote and Farouk Ahmed, a public servant, and all the shenanigans, $5 billion, and all this, his funny explanation how his father did the education endowment fund and the rest, that the answers were not just adding up. But we are Nigerian, we are just there. Look at the National Assembly, they are presenting budgets, and it's so unfortunate that Nigerians don't really even understand the Nigerian budget system. The way we deliberate about politics, that's the same way we are supposed to talk about Nigerian budgeting. Look at budget going on. Nobody knows. One single item of budget. Ask 20 people on the street. They don't even know the meaning. And yet we are seeing medium-time expenditure framework. Look at what the borrowing is going to be. Look at what the borrowing is almost equal to debt service. So what kind of economy are we raising? And nobody is talking. Media, they are not engaging, they are not interrogating these guys. And before you know it, you take a bow and go. Everything will go on. It's a sad situation. Thank you.
Very, very sad. Very, very sad. In fact, he has spoken, he has trashed most of those issues. In fact, there was one other aspect of what he brought up, which is the case of Dangote. I was even wondering whether we had enough time to take up that matter. You can imagine that a Dangote will come out and address the press on that kind of rot. And ironically, you see, let me tell you what is going to happen. Just to corroborate what Michael has just said. What you are going to see is that you are going to have a lot of people being paid to come out and protest on behalf of the man that is being accused of corruption. That is the kind of country we live in. In fact, it does not, before you know what's happening, you'll be hearing orchestration that it's because he's a northerner. I'm not minding the fact that the person who made the allegation, Aliko Dangote, is a foremost blue blood northerner. You understand? So this is the kind of country we live in. And that issue of legislation, you see, you cannot over-trash that matter. You see, because if you ask the average, and they don't even understand what legislation making is. They tell you that we don't have good rules, we don't have this. The lawmaker is not supposed to provide that. He's supposed to ensure that those things are done, that the budget money meant for those things are properly utilized. If it is not released, he must find out why and let his constituency know. That is what they are supposed to do. You understand? So, but all of a sudden, we just assume that the moment you are in public office, whether you have a vote or not, to practice some executive function, whether you have it or not, nobody cares. That is, you see, ignorance is one of the major problems we have. That is why we keep on recycling ineffective leaders.
Right, Nicholas. Sorry to butt you, my colleague. Nicholas, this conversation as to ignorance and citizens knowing their rights and the kind of interaction they should have with some representatives. All of this things. Somebody told me that a particular sitting senator from Kwara, whenever he visited home, he shares 1,000 naira. People would throng at his front yard, and then they share 1,000 naira, and then they are satisfied with that, and then they go back home.
Yeah.
And then he said to me that the last time this person was home, that he heard, but he said, I don't want to go there and just, rough myself up and then for 1,000 naira. And then it struck me. I said, so if you can think that way, how many people have you educated about stop going there to take 1,000 naira? Go there to ask, what is the report? What have you brought back? Well, when will Nigerians grow to that level? A lot of people will say the media is not doing enough. The media is not doing enough. There are a lot of conversations going on in the media that even the people don't talk about or respond to.
You see, let us not overstate this issue of the media is not doing enough. You see, because essentially what the media does is what is the public's interest? As against what the public is interested in. You understand? Those are two different things.
Very.
Mostly, what the public is interested in are those issues of who is going to be the governor. Is it from my side of things? That is what they are interested in. Normally, that shouldn't be what we should be after. What is good for the public should be what we should be. But the kind of pressure that we face, especially with the advent of the social media, where to a very large narrative shaping is taken largely out of the hands of mainstream media. It's a losing battle for us. You understand? Just look at it. We've been talking about some of the issues. What are the things that drew attention? Football, yeah. But when we start talking about budget, you can hardly get people, except maybe few people like Michael, for instance, who understand issues, the depth of what we're talking about. About Michael, then there's this other guy from GRA, that will come in and talk, because they have an understanding and they know the impact of these things, And again, we must equally let us not make it a general thing. We stay in a place where people are largely conservative in their views. You understand? They rarely change. You understand? Don't forget that this used to be a state where the Saraki held sway, and what the populace actually wants is that 1,000 naira thing, handout. That is it. A lot of people were weaned on that legend, on that fairy tale of how generous this person is. So the moment you have that kind of person, that's where they swing to. That is, but it is not that kind of conversation is not as rampant when you go to places like Lagos, for instance. You go to Abuja, for instance. You would see people discussing key issues. People that are on the street, they discuss key issues. You understand? But over here, to a very large extent, the ones who really understand issues are not even allowed to speak, because when you speak, they'll tell you that they might unleash even clerics, they will unleash the local clerics or the local magajis against you. They are, look, you are giving the government of the day or our son that is there, you are giving him problem. You stop talking about things like that. Can't you see that he's the one that sent this one to Makkah? He's the one that sent this one to Jerusalem. He's the one that paid this other person's school fees. They don't consider the fact that when you aggregate all those, you understand that he has given these stipends, the amount of stipends, as against the interest of the majority. It is infinitesimal. It is so small. Yeah. It's like a drop in the ocean. That is the problem. That is the dilemma that we face here in Kwara State.
All right, let's take some comments from Facebook and WhatsApp as well. Dr. Mrs. Umaliban from Uri says, majority of our leaders have failed us. Nigerians are now having confidence meltdown. A situation of having little or no confidence in the system and its leadership. We earnestly pray to God to rescue us from bad rulers and bad governance. It is now that we realize that those years were better days compared to what we're seeing now that is making our hearts bleed. May God have mercy on those who hate themselves. Good morning, Danielle, Adedayo, and Nicholas. Church Unite was awesome, though. I'm Mayor from Basin. For our Simple Eagles lost to Egypt, personally, I don't think we should read too much meaning to that because it's a friendly. Plus, most of our key players didn't play. Osimhen is not yet at the camp. For the legend Garba Lawal saying that we should not blame the NFF, I think Nicholas have answered that. Of course, they should be blamed for everything. Michael Obi was sharing on how he took a bold step by going to the then president, late Yaradua, for their 2018 FIFA World Cup bonus that NFF wanted to chop. And as for DR Congo, well, anyways, we want this to be our fight, even if it took us going through the back door, because the law is the law. If you violated the law, then you should face the consequences. Kudos to you guys in the building and have a splendid, wonderful week.
All righty. Our conversation, we're wrapping up in a few minutes. But before we go, I would like to take a reaction to this. Aisha Buhari, widow of former President Muhammadu Buhari, revealed that her late husband retained several underperforming aides during his 8-year tenure due to fears of being labeled a dictator.
That is vintage Aisha. That is vintage Aisha for you. And I have been unsparing of late President Muhammadu Buhari's tenure. For me, I think it's a colossal disaster. That is, and that for me corroborates what we've been saying. That if the wife could come out and say things like that, it tells you that he wasn't even in control. So, and that was my fear when his candidature was being thrown up. And these were the basic questions I asked people. A man has been out of power for 30 years. How has he built himself? How many times has federal government asked him to go and mediate on an issue? How many times have you been appointed as a chairman of a board or things like that? Has he even gone for a master's or has he even written a memoir? Okay, if he's a retired general, what business is he doing? All throughout the period he was there, he comes out and declares his asset is always 150 cattle. What kind of a strange breed of cattle are those that neither decreases nor increases? Those were the issues that were around him that we said then. But again, the woman is corroborating all those fears that we had at that time.
All right, our time is fast, but let's have your closing thoughts in very few seconds, please.
Well, it's about Super Eagles again. I'm trying to find our enthusiasm to watch the AFCON. And I think it's something if that is something that can lift our spirit, I think we should, pay undivided attention to
Attention
this.
to
Yeah,
it.
yeah, so that we can have something to entertain us.
All right, then. The views expressed is not in any way the position of Flow FM 92.7 or the staff therein, but is expressed by our in-house analyst, Nicholas, and the individuals who called on the show this morning. Thank you so much for joining us on the Headline News Analysis. We'll be back to your ears tomorrow, 8 o'clock to 8:30, God willing. I'm Danielle Shitta-Bey.
And I am Dayo Adeyemi. Good morning.
Day started right.
We've got the hottest headlines, trending topics, and the music you love back to back.
You already know we keep it fun, fresh, and real. Mid-mornings with us, you won't want to miss it.
We bring the energy, the laughs, and of course the tunes that gets you through the day.
Afternoon on Flow FM is where the culture lives. Music, entertainment, and all the gist that you need.
And if it's trending, you already know we're talking about it.
Stay locked in, Lauren. It's Flow FM, baby.
The night's young, the vibes are right, and we are flowing past midnight. You ready to chill? Let's go.
Listen anytime, anywhere. Stream us live, call us, send us a WhatsApp message. We're just a tap away. Flow FM 92.7. My music, my radio.
From